Oh my gosh. I don't know what's going on. This is a risky one, Justin. Sort of just swooping on in. I don't know how anything is set. I don't know how we got here.
Yeah,
know-
if you could give me your video.
So you are not yet receiving video. We'll do
No.
this. Yeah,
I don't think
there
I
we
was
go.
able to talk to anybody.
Oh, that's wild because like on the phone. So to bring everybody up to speed, I was definitely on the phone saying like, "Hey, John Rail, you know that trial by fire you've been looking for? Well, listen to this. I'm gonna show up 5 minutes late." And so I was only able to get partial explanations of what was going on, when, and how, and so on. And he did verify that Justin was on the line, so it was like I didn't really have anything else to.
Oh no, I
to go
heard.
with.
I heard. Yeah. So from my perspective, I get on the line and all I hear is John tapping on microphones and talking to you over the phone. And I'm like, I'm trying to talk to people, but I picked up the long and the short of it. We're here now. That's all that matters.
Yeah, doggone right. And we're having a camera set up for Bonnie as well, who I believe is on audio. Are you there, Bon?
I'm here, but I can't hear you guys over the monitors.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, let me
This
push
is
some
fun.
buttons. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. You can hear?
I wonder if John.
Yeah.
I wonder if John had nightmares about this scenario. This is Brian's worst nightmare.
It is. Literally. There was a show so bad
Oh yeah.
that mid-show, and this is,
Same.
again, to be clear, a show that actually happened. It was a show that was
Yeah.
going so poorly, I read something, looked away, and then read it again just to make absolutely certain that I wasn't having my recurring nightmare of a bad show.
Yeah.
Did you ever have
What
one
was?
of those?
Oh,
What was the result? The result was no, it was reality.
it was a real show. No, I've certainly had disasters. The worst disaster I ever had was a thing for the Go game where we did a Master Chef thing for this company out in Alabama. And it was already kind of a crap show. And then like we were supposed to edit together a bunch of videos and that was a disaster. And then the next day we were doing like in a little like mini Olympic game kind of thing that was a much bigger deal and was also a total disaster. But in any of those things, like I don't know, they were so weird that like as they were falling apart, there was always this like, maybe we could just get this working. Like it's not like from Brian's perspective, when you're like doing a show, you know from like probably the moment even before you get on stage, okay, there are some ugly things here. I mean, really, I guess no. The biggest version of that would be the Orlando Kia Soul situation. That New Year's Eve, that would probably be the worst gig that the worst
Yeah,
gig of all time.
What were all of the signs that we had that this was a disaster? Number one was the person in charge insisting that massive, unprecedented amounts of ticket sales were happening, right? And then that's weird enough.
Well, it was we kept asking for ways that we could drive ticket sales, and beyond the link that he gave us, or we're like, hey, can we do press? Like, what is like, if this is something that we want to get out there for Orlando people, like, how can we help? And he was just like, dude, don't worry. You don't know how these things work. There's like this whole world of buying tickets like in Orlando for events. Like nobody even knows what these things are. These people are from out of town. Like they're just going to buy it. Don't even worry about it. And so we're like, and Brian, even between me and you, we're both fairly skeptical people. Like when you're in Orlando and you're right next to Disney World, you're like,
I mean, you're
seems legit, I guess.
living in the land of places where people do things that don't make sense. So hearing somebody announce a thing that doesn't make sense, like, well, this is the place.
I don't know, like-
Tis the
Yeah.
time.
Like one time we swooped in after a conference to this bar, and there was like some guy doing a crazy piano show thing, and he was giving out those candy bars, remember?
No, I don't. Oh, no. Are you talking about Cornmo? Oh my God, you're talking about Cornmo.
Is
Are
that
you?
right? No, it wasn't the little candy bars, but he handed out a candy bar as a prize, but then he took it back. He goes, "That's my last one. They don't make them anymore," or something. You don't remember that?
No, I guess I don't.
I don't know. It was like, here's a big hunk candy bar. By the way, I'm not really giving it to you. I don't know. It was just like, but those things happen. Like, he is in a place where people come and do conferences, so he would get people popping into this random place.
Really want to know more about this other story, but
don't
but
I'm
I do
sure
know
it
more
was
about
like
this
a-
New Year's Eve gig
I
that
want
we
to say
did.
it was like I want to say it was like on the West Coast somewhere, like Peoria or I don't know, like
Was it one of the NACAs?
Yeah,
like
like
at
a
like at
NACA, like regional.
Pacific Northwest.
I feel
in,
like it
in Portland,
was.
Oregon,
Yeah.
or something.
I think. I don't
Yeah.
know. But anyways, y'all got real detail.
I wish either of us
Well,
remembered
but-
this.
somebody
Yeah.
does somewhere.
No, that night, the two moments for which we should have known. Well, the one moment early was homeboy asking for straight up cash to transfer the bar, and Brian disassembling a magic trick
yeah.
to give him money.
Yeah, that's one of
Like-
those where it's like, in that moment, it was like, well, either all of this is a fraud, in which case I'm already fucked for $8,000,
Yeah.
or this is all as it appears to be, in which case, what's $400 more? It turns out
Yeah.
$400 more was $400 more dollars of fraud. Yeah.
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 But, that's
But then
dumb.
the other moment where we just knew it was a total disaster was when we got up to rehearse, and like we're just in an empty, undressed ballroom, and we've got about
No
Like,
tech.
yeah. no tech, and it's like, do you remember? It couldn't have been more than
3 hours.
6 to 8 hours.
No,
Was
no,
it
no.
3?
Yeah, no, it got very, very close, and I will never forget. I will never forget the look on the kid's face, because dude had his own teenaged son be put in charge
Yeah.
of tech, and there was an apology behind every pretend effort to actually set anything up that he was making
Yeah.
constantly, and you smelled it. You smelled the shame that this person had for his father. You smelled the knowledge that this person had about what his dad was up to. You smelled the fraud all around it, but he couldn't stop himself from at least pretending to set up the gig.
That's so
Yeah.
sad.
It was desperately
Oh.
sad.
That's like
There
the
was a
saddest
swirl.
Part. I think I got past. I think I was.
I've
angry.
held back that part of
Yeah.
the story because that was the most heartbreaking part of the whole thing for me.
Ah,
I mean,
And you
it
got
was so bizarre. Well, I mean, God, everybody got sick. But even that night, we were we're there. It's a total disaster. Brian and I are doing like, okay, we have to give away this Kia Soul, but also we're like, I guess we're doing Night Attack like for a crowd that like there's like maybe 20 of our people and then like 10 other
Confused
strangers
other people.
that had
Yeah. So
very
like
confused.
ostensibly our role was to be MCs for the evening, which means come out, say some stuff, keep the party going, leave, come back later, do the same, repeat, right? That works
Yeah.
when there's a party to keep going. It works when there's a bunch of fans there. Hoo boy, does it not work when you got about 20 of your fans, all of whom are very confused as to why
Yeah.
everything about this is a shit show, and then 40 other people who don't even know who you are or why they're there.
Yeah. Total fucking strangers. They're like totally clueless. So we get up. Brian does his show, or a version of his show.
Pretty close. I would say like in a perfect world, I got 65 minutes of polished material, and then what happens is when tech goes sketchy, there's the first 5 minutes to get axed, and then there's the next 10 minutes, and then the next 5 minutes or whatever. But I definitely did a solid 45 minutes that everybody who was there was able to enjoy. Whether or not it had all of the audio cues is, it's fine.
Debatable. I remember Ashley had a backpack, like a 2 gigantic cylinder backpack with mixed drinks that she was like shooting into people's mouths. So it's like we were trying to bring a party, and the people that were there for us, whenever I tell this story as a total disaster, everybody that was there on our side is like, oh, it was great. We got lit. Like everybody like had a good time. Like our crew had a blast. It just so happened that for everybody else, it was a very confusing. And for us, it was very embarrassing to like get up because down in front, all we see is smiling, beaming faces. You go, then there's a gigantic rift of nobody. And then at the tables behind them are all these confused tourists. And we're
I
like,
hate those tables. Those awkward tables.
But that's not the bizarre part. The bizarre part was, and we're telling the story again, whatever. It's the happy hour. The bizarre part was there was, because this is a large resort. If you are driving to Orlando or driving to Disney World, when you get up to Disney World, I forget what road it is. It's like
pretty much halfway between downtown and Disney.
Is it international?
On International
No,
Boulevard.
it's not iDrive.
okay.
Is it iDrive?
I think it is. Very close to Universal.
No, it's closer to Disney. It's literally like the last thing off of like the next. If you keep going down that road, you are at the exit for Disney. But we are so we're there, and it's a large facility. Like this place is massive. You can tell like back in the day under better management, this thing probably could have made a mint if it were well kept. It's just so big that it's hard to kind of keep going. In another ballroom, there is a hip hop New Year's Eve event, which features
this is the part that's
Bone
so
Crusher.
Weird because I know that this part, like at some point during the story, I get past the part where my show didn't go off like I wanted. But now my part is over, and now I enter my new role of being friendly host person. Then Justin very excitedly says, "Do you have any idea who else is here?" And I'm like, "No, Justin, who are they?" And he says a bunch of names, and a bunch of people give nods, and I nod at all of them, and then I look to Justin, and his eyes are like white lightning, and his grin is huge, and he's like, "Ah?" And I'm like, I don't even know. I'm sorry.
Man, it was one of those things where the night had gotten so weird for so long that this was like, and everything had been a disappointment, that then randomly Bone Crusher and the 69 Boys showed up. So I don't know. I mean, Bone Crusher had a hit in the 90s, but I don't know if the 69 Boys even are on the radar of anybody who wasn't into like booty music in the late 80s and early 90s. But Florida,
where
that
would
was
they
a
rank
big
close
thing.
to like the Ghetto Boys? Because I was from Houston, so I knew the Ghetto Boys.
No, this is more like Two Live Crew or like the Quad City DJs or something. But like that 90s.
I think we gotta find some music by them, don't we?
Yes, we do now.
No, you want to look up the 69 Boys?
I bet it's out there.
So they're there. Tootsie Roll. Tootsie Roll was their was their big hit.
Shoot, how about that? There you go.
Oh wait, yeah.
So keep in mind, even though we know our part of the show is not going according to plan, we're in good company to indicate that this is not a complete fraud shit show at this point.
And that was also the moment in which Jay Ski of the 69 Boys comes up to me and is like, "Hey man, what's up?" Like, and he like is very clearly having a conversation. Talent to, I'm gonna try and get my money. Because
Yeah.
he's realizing that this is a total scam. Because by the way, what happens is we now combine these ballrooms. So now the confused German tourists from our place, our fans, are now even more confused as the entertainment and the remaining people from their ballroom now come into our ballroom and we combine into one thing. And in that moment,
At that point, for the record, it's
very
it's
weird
a
and
fine
sublime.
party at that point. Like, if what you want is some DJ playing stuff, there was a fog machine. Like, I would put it on the high end of frat parties that you would have seen in the late to mid 90s.
Yes. Oh yeah. And it was at that point where that hit its peak. Like when it was like, all right, I'm pretty sure none of us are getting paid. This is a total
But, hold on.
fraud.
This is also the moment where I remember looking at Justin and holding on to some thread of possibility. I was like, laundering. Maybe this is all just money laundering. And we end up paid at the end of it. That was the best I could conceive of what was happening.
Because the one thing we were hoping was that he was definitely a fan of the podcast.
And
So
had
push comes
put
to
in the
shove.
time. Like he was in the chat.
Yeah.
He showed up to like multiple dozens of performances at Universal Orlando or whatever. And it's like there's sort of this low grade like, man, if you are trying to pull off a heist, you're going the long way around. Turns out some people like to go the long way around, like waste a bunch of time by watching my
was
show a lot.
Initially, I was like, okay, he doesn't. Oh, and it's all just coming back to me now. There's also a dance crew that didn't show up because they
reaches
smelled
out
the
to
fraud.
you on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, because they smelled the fraud early,
Yep.
and they were hitting us up.
And then
like,
the DJ,
hey, are
the
you
DJ
there?
who had his agent like
DJ's
give me a check cut, and then like seconds after having the check in hand is scanning it and sending it to Chase Bank or whatever. And
Yeah.
then meanwhile, it's like Justin and I from the beginning are like, hey man, whatever this is, it is what it's gonna be. Like us running around in circles ain't gonna cause it to be one thing or the other.
Nope. But again, there was an element selfishly where we're like, any of the contractors, they're boned. Any of the big acts, they're boned. Like, he'll just be another small time promoter that just gets banned by their agents or whatever, right? But where is podcast friends? Like, if there's one people that will maybe get something covered, maybe Brian will at least get his $400 back. Like we're the ones, because we're the closest to where he would like to continue to, like, in my mind, I'm like, all right, he shows up in the chat next week and he's like, oh man, you won't believe it. All my other business partners screwed me, but like, I still took care of the boys. I'm like, maybe. But boy, as the night wore on, that moment with the 69 Boys, as they spent all their proteges up onto the stage that no one had ever heard of to rap songs that no one had ever heard of, that's when things began to turn sour. Eventually.
I mean, at some point, I mean, the moment I think that we knew was when the cop showed up because, quote unquote, somebody stole from the till, and the guy who was the event promoter was just like, man, I don't even know what's going on. Somebody stole from the till. Hey, whichever of you 19-year-old girls who are just doing this gig did this, just confess and get it over with. Oh, you're all crying? Well, that certainly legitimizes the fact that I'm really upset that one of you stole from the till.
It was basically a more sinister version of the I think you should leave sketch, where the hot dog car crashes into the store and he's in the hot dog outfit and he's like, it could have been any one of us. We're just trying to get to the bottom of this. Like, this guy who had ripped off everybody is like, the only money that existed was in that bar till. And there was like one male bartender
Also,
whose mom
there
was
had to be
furious.
like dozens of dollars in there. Like there was nothing in there.
Yeah. So, I didn't mind that Brian had a weekend adventure with his buddy and Diamond Club crew. Awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't even mind.
And the 69 boys.
Yeah, I didn't even mind. The frantic calls leading up to everything because he's just like, I don't think there's going to be a show. I'm going to have to do my act. I just, all of that. But the fact that he came home and coughed for a month after that.
Because their place was fucking filthy.
And I had to listen to him bitch and moan about having to destroy his 500 Hyundai. Is that what it was? The
Whatever. I mean, like I've been through enough of those that I stopped carrying that trick. Because it turns out there's a lot of ways that having $500 becomes useful at some point.
Yeah.
All of which, whether it's losing your wallet, happened. Running out of money at a blackjack table happened. Trying to help out a scam artist happened. Like at some point, it becomes just a liability. Don't walk around with $100 bills.
$500.
Yeah.
What is this guy like? What is this kid like? I hope he's all
Sad.
right.
He was
Very
sad.
sad.
It was
Because his dad's a disappointment.
Yeah.
I mean, just
He
if
knew.
that's
He
the
knew.
case, yeah.
Mhm.
Like if our case was as it happened, imagine how many disappointed birthdays and Christmases that kid has had. Like there's no way that this like has not just permeated through his entire life.
Well, he's an adult now. Let's hope that he's married with a fine young lady and they just disowned him.
And he is, yeah. It's funny.
Let's hope he's a fan now and will reach out to us at nightattack.tv.
Oh,
The next time that I went up to Orlando, I drove by that place and because we had not heard from the guy in a while. And I get up to the security guard and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for somebody that works here. And I even forget his name, but I'm like, I'm looking for this guy. And the security guard.
It's funny what you hold on to because I remember that he had a spider web tattoo on his elbow. That's all I'll
Yes.
ever remember him as. Yeah.
And
And he was
And the guy-
fat. He was fat
Very
and
fat,
bad
yeah.
looking and a bad person.
And the security guy leans out of his little like door and he's like, what do you know about him? His friend? And I'm like, I know he owes me money. And he's like, oh yeah, you ain't getting that. Nobody's getting that. There are people in here that he owes a lot more money than he owes to you. So go ahead and you turn your shit on out of here if that's what you're looking for. Like there was a moment where it was like, look, if you got a lead on this motherfucker, then come on in because we got a lot to talk about. But otherwise, if you're just another dude that's looking for a bag you didn't get, then fuck right off.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I did not hear that update.
It was really wild.
Yeah.
And, as a matter of fact, I thought a lot about that gig when I read, what's his name? Something Gavin, whatever, The Gift of Fear, where he talks about that there's at a very deep level, like human beings didn't survive because we had claws or were faster or any of those things. We survived because we have one super finely honed instrument, and it's our intuition for danger. And looking back on it, both of our intuitions were lit into overdrive the entire time, but we rationalized away every single aspect of it, because it's like, well, that would just be dumb. That would just be dumb. And then turns out it was dumb.
Andrew had done a gig through him like 2 weeks before, Andrew Main.
Really?
And as I was driving up, I called Andrew and I was like, hey, weird question. Did you ever get paid for that gig a couple weeks ago? And he was like, nope. And I remember where I was. I'm on the Sawgrass Expressway exit that gets onto 95 or the Turnpike to go up to Orlando. And I remember at that moment, like, deciding like, all right, I'm going to ignore. This is like the first blinking sign that this is going to be a bad move. And I'm like, like push comes to shove. At that point, we were already pot committed because everybody was already going there. The fans were already
Yeah.
going there.
Sure.
Fans
Like,
are going, you're going, right?
yeah.
Well, and also, like you said, it was really great to hang out with the 12 fans who were there, and we got to spend extra time with them because there were no other fans.
Yeah, and it was certainly an experience. And then also, we may or may not have been a part of fraud in terms of picking a winner for a 2010 Kia Soul.
Would you like to tell me in a flight of fancy a fictitious tale? Do me a favor. I want you to write a short story of what that might have looked like that is almost certainly fiction and not real.
What I remember, were we both there?
We were
in this
not.
story.
It
was me. I was
sorry.
there.
I mean, in reality, you and I weren't even in the state. But I
No.
remember you wrote me a short story with a main character
So,
called
all right.
Bustin. And
I
Bustin,
remember that in Bustin's tale.
Yes.
Again, Bustin is thinking, out of anybody, Bustin and his pal Giant will get paid.
sure,
Because he wants to continue to be part of this weird community.
that's right.
So Bustin gets contacted and he's like, hey, look, we just kind of need somebody to physically do a drawing. We were going to do it at the end of the night last night. This is the next day. We were going to do it at the end of the night last night. But then, of course, everything got crazy with the bar. So technically, we legally, because we advertised this, need to pick a winner of who's going to win this Kia Soul. So I have to go back to this office because I had stayed off property. At that point, friends of mine and Ashley's were like, fuck it,
that's
we're getting
right.
another hotel room down the fucking road.
You guys took one look at the fucking ganky ass shitty rooms and were like, no. Us
Yeah.
here? No.
But that was Ashley's friends. Ashley's friends who are, very much like father figures, parental figures to her, were like, yeah, this is gross. We're not staying here. There's a perfectly good Holiday Inn literally like 10 feet down the road with a gigantic pool. So we're going to go do that and we're going to get a room for you guys.
Both of you did that. All of Ashley's friends did that. Also, the DJ and his girlfriend did that.
And his girlfriend.
I
oh,
was the lone
yeah.
sucker
Why
stuck
did you
with
stay?
because I don't care. I mean, I don't know. I might as well camp outside.
So you already got sick anyways. Everybody
All
got sick.
right.
Everybody got
understand.
sick. Everybody got sick.
Okay.
So here, I come back. Sorry, Bustin comes back to the office the next day, and if there are elements of this story that I had sent previously to Brian that Brian remembers better than me, then please feel free to fill in where I'm forgetting my initial draft. But I did have to on camera pick out a ticket from the
The
from a
version
bowl.
I heard of, that Giant heard of this
Yeah.
bit was,
Uh-huh.
yeah, whatever. I did the thing. We picked a car. It's fine. And then Bustin looked down, inhaled, let out a deep, heavy sigh. And I thought I heard him whisper, "It's gonna be okay." That's the way I remember.
Oh man. Dude, what a fucking scene.
Well,
what a
so
crazy scene.
did
Who
they
got
did
the car?
yeah, fucking spoiler alert. He has a tattoo on his elbow and he's really fat. I mean, come on.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And now we know why the teenager was there embarrassed.
He has a
about his
very
head.
sad son. That's another part of the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Oh my
Oh
god.
no, there was and I don't know what angle it was, but there was no doubt that giveaway was rife with fraud.
Yeah.
Either like it was, if even just to ensure that nobody claimed it, he might have just, according to this fictional story,
Oh,
thrown in
just
a
had
bunch
it.
of random tickets and just been like, oops, the person we drew never claimed it. So, like, I guess it just never goes anywhere or goes to me, or it turns out this LLC won. How crazy is that?
Yeah. So, What'd you think of that cat picture I sent you today, Brian?
Wait. First of all, explain it to me.
Okay. Well, you guys know that silly sneakers picture that
Yes.
was up in my up at the mailbox or whatever.
Yes.
Look at this is somebody else's mailbox picture. I don't know if you can see it.
Is that a missing cat or?
Yeah, that's like our neighbor's cat went missing, and he's in a like it has like the top part of a collar, and he has a tie on, and he's got this.
Did he put the words "missing" on the poster?
And they said, no, this is the part that's hilarious. Is that she puts this picture of this cat up there, and it just looks hilarious, right? And then she says, our cat tore off his collar, unlocked the door, and ran out of the house last night, and he's been missing. And just like one of the responses on Nextdoor was, maybe don't dress him up.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
you know what I would love even more? Here's what I want you to do, Bonnie. I need you to be ready for the next door mystery.
Yeah.
And then when it happens, we're going to full on do a heavily produced, hyper local serial style podcast on the missing pet.
Oh. Well,
When I first heard about Mr. Fluffles,
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think. Here was a cat with a bow tie and a tie, dressed in a bit of plaid. Was he Scottish? Come on. I guess at some point you're the asshole when it turns out that he's
Got
been
ran
run over. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is you don't want to do that
Yeah.
until the cat comes back. Where was
Yeah.
Mr. Fluffles this whole time? Now that's the mystery.
You know what? Okay, maybe the whole thing is a hoax. We start a series
Oh.
of next door posts that say, "Hey guys, as you know, Brian's a magician. We have a leopard. Leopard got loose. He's very friendly. Don't worry about it. There's a leopard on the loose. Please don't worry about
Is
it."
this a person or a?
Oh no, like an actual leopard, a big cat,
Okay.
right?
Big
And then
cat.
follow up, someone who is not our family, like local magicians, the Brushwoods had a leopard. Who brought a leopard here?
Yeah. Well, I just think like further down there was a couple of funny comments, but further down somebody says, "Yeah, I think that cat was out for a night off." He was looking all dapper and kind of bug-eyed, like that cat needed to go get laid, so he was out
Yeah,
the door,
chasing some strange.
loosening up the tie,
Yeah.
know. It was just the most ridiculous picture I've seen since Sneakers, the smiling dog. So,
So anyway,
That's so
scammers.
funny.
What if you want to scam
Scammers.
us?
Yeah.
Here's some tips. If you want to scam us, number one, bother to be a member of the community for at least a year, so it puts you above suspicion.
Yeah.
Second of all, weirdly have a contract signed and notarized, even though half the gigs we do, we don't even have any written paperwork for. We just show up, and you're either going to
Yeah.
pay us or you're not, either way. But then keep pressuring us on the paperwork as if to scream in advance that you're a suspicious person. Also, make sure to give tours of things that, while you're saying the words that sound like you're proud of them, are definitely not of things to be proud of, like shittily run, musty, rundown hotels.
Oh, that was the other thing was part of it was that we came out to Orlando for Halloween Horror Nights and stayed on the property. But at that point, he was like, "Hey, look, LOL, fixer upper, am I right? But once this thing's humming, it's gonna be amazing. Like, so I'm gonna put you guys up. These rooms, the water's working, the electricity's working, but it's not gonna be as good as it will be when New Year's Eve rolls around. So we're talking about end of October to end of November. So he's got 2 months during the holidays to get this stuff up to snuff. But it was like, from that point, it's like, it's going to take a lot of work. But if you have the contractors, you can get it up to
Well, and also
minimum.
he was playing the role of like, my job is to fix this dump. You look around, you see a dump, you see a person who says this dump needs being fixed, and you're like, yeah, checks out. Right?
And look, and also we went to Halloween Horror Nights. He had a limo for it. Like, it was, we were like, oh, okay, like this is a guy. Look at this guy.
Seals the deal. He's got a friend.
I mean,
with a
yeah.
limo.
And also, it's like, I think that is one of those things where now you look back at it and you're like, oh, okay, this is literally abusing confidence. That he was like, contract, guys, contract. Listen, I'm a businessman. I need contracts. So the contract's out. If you don't sign the contract, then the contract's not going to come back to me. I got to look over this contract. Yeah, I got a contracty kind of mind. So just go ahead and sign that contract and get it back. And, Bonnie, right? Brian and I are used to the most official shit we ever do is like call a bar in advance and say, hey, can we put a PA in your bar and have a bunch of people pay you money for drinks?
I'm curious, how come you don't think you sound like Charlie Day? But when you're talking contracts.
That was a little Pepe Silva. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, you were channeling.
I just don't hear it. I don't know.
You want to talk about bird law next?
I'm just saying, sometimes you don't know what you sound like. And I edit my own voice, right? But even then, I guess I've always heard it's more when I get excited.
Yeah,
like
I
when
mean,
I'm in a certain register when I get excited.
When you reach the third register, that's when all bets are off.
Yeah, and I mean, you just reached it, and you're very rarely there. Usually, you're smooth and low, but like when you get kind of like ramped up, then there's a certain kind of like,
There was a moment during this gig that the most generous interpretation we could give to what we were seeing was, man, I forget, what I would give for a recording of the conversation between me and Justin, because I think the way I remember it is me looking over at you and saying, so is this money laundering or the increasingly poor decisions of Todd Margaret?
Todd Margaret.
like
Right.
maybe this guy is just the world's biggest dipshit or whatever. Like all things being equal, he couldn't have made off with more than a few $1,000s. And it's like,
Yeah.
just like, can I just give you the money and you can go live your sad life and disappoint your teenage child? I want to know what that kid is up to now. I want to know.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you
Nobody's
that
alright.
was the other weird thing about it, was that the stakes were so low. Like this was,
They were
it was
never
like going,
presented as low, though. The stakes were presented to us as life or death.
No. I don't mean the stakes in terms of how of his event. I mean, like, at a certain point, you realize that Hans Gruber is there to rob the company and not to, make a political point, right?
So
you
in other
realize,
words, like she says, you're a petty thief, and he says, no, I'm an exceptional thief. If you steal $300, they will find you. If you steal $300 million, whatever. This is the guy that stole $300.
yeah, that was the weirdest thing. The weirdest thing was that at the end of it, you're like, okay, so this dude, to this day, I still feel like he was just a dipshit who got ass over tea kettles on some idea that he really wanted to work and just didn't. Because I, for the life of me, can't figure out how running that event means actual money.
I think
like money worth embarrassing. Because at a certain point, everyone's looking at him like he shit his pants. And he has to be the guy who has shit his pants in front of
And that dude
hundreds of people.
stuck around until 4 a.m, parading around saying, I know, how crazy did I shit my pants? I just wish that somebody had sold the tickets, somebody had not robbed the register, somebody had. It's like he described in vivid detail just how badly he had shit his pants. And then he
Yeah.
escaped with what? Maybe man, at
Do you think
best
he
I'm gonna
got
say
the
20
Kia?
grand and some booze.
Do you think he got the Kia?
I don't think there was a Kia.
Yeah.
I
so,
think that he ran the giveaway and nobody claimed it because a VIN is hard to that's traceable. And if they wanted to he had to know that people would figure out that no, he's not really running a promotion. He's not really doing a thing. And then at
Or
that
do
point,
you?
wherever the car ends up, you run into trouble. So yeah, to him, the car was just more of the background noise that put on the show that he's for reals. It's going to be great.
I don't know. I mean, that might have been what he was after the whole time. It's just being able to.
Kia
he
Soul.
just needed
He was the devil.
an
He wanted your soul.
event. Yeah, like he just needed an event to front that whole Kia Soul thing, and then I don't know.
I mean,
It's just weird.
again,
Just an
for the
idea.
record, let me repeat. If it's a scam, he's taking the long way around.
Yeah.
New sentence. Turns out some people don't mind taking the long way around.
I guess.
Like that. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what I learned. Is some people are willing to work a very long path, going the long way around to make very little money.
I mean, it's really less embarrassing to just do a desk job that you don't like than to.
Or show up on
Oh.
time, or keep a single promise,
Yeah.
or raise a son in
For-
such a way
for-
that he doesn't have the sad, dead eyes of someone who knows that his father is an infinite disappointment.
Yeah.
And
For-
it's like,
for
oh,
the effort
poor.
that he did put in, like you could have done a minimum viable party.
Yeah.
Like he was there enough that
He
he
could
could
have-
have done a minimum viable party.
Like, however much he made off with, he could have given about 20% of it to me and Justin. The event would have been 10 times happier, and everyone would have thanked us at the end of it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the remarkable part, is like some part of his nefarious plan involved being a fraud, but also, yes, but how can we make it such that everyone is disappointed afterwards?
Yeah.
He's like, well, some people are going to be happy. He's like, no one will be happy
No
when
one.
I'm done with this.
Now tell me about this backpack thing. What is this backpack thing with shooters that?
Oh, yeah, it was a
actually
booze
had-
backpack. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
actually had like it was two big cylinders, and so we mixed up like a screwdriver in one and like a cranberry and vodka in the other, and she just had two dispenser nozzles, and people would just put their mouth under it, and she just shoot booze in their face. It
Oh
was
my
it was a
God.
blast. She was a hit.
Now,
I think we got it. I think we either saw it at Dragon Con or we got it for Dragon Con and then brought it to the New Year's
Okay,
thing.
so you guys brought that. Like that is equipment that
Yeah.
you guys.
Oh, no.
own.
We brought the party because we
Yeah.
were invited to bring a party.
That's right.
We had a flying shark. We had a magic show.
Yep.
We had booze
You
shooters.
had a flying shark.
Yes. Got it. Look,
Yeah.
you don't hire.
Where's the flying shark now?
You don't hire Bruston
I
and
think it's
Giant
dead.
and not have them bring the party. I mean, we did our part of the job.
They're not
Awesome.
expensive though. You should get one. They're basically just like Mylar. They're Mylar a Mylar shark, and it has just a
Balloon.
little
Yeah.
remote control
Yeah.
thing on
Just
it.
swims. It'd be
That's
good. It
Yeah.
would be good in the soundstage.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we brought, and again, to this day, whenever I tell this story, because I had a lot of my Florida friends came up for it. Like, so whenever I tell them this
I
story,
think BioCow was there. I know that Tensor guy brought his wife. We had Tijuana Taxi showed up,
Yep.
and everybody was just confused. They're all like, what's going on?" And our responses were, "Who wants a beer?"
Yeah.
Got
no, because
them
there were a
shooters.
few there, like Tijuana Taxi works in like production
Yeah.
for the major players
In
in
Orlando.
Fill
Yeah.
in the blank on who those are. And he knows what pro looks like in Orlando. He knows what semi-pro looks like in Orlando, and he knows what total shit show looks like in Orlando.
And now he
and-
knows even lower.
Yeah. Oh no, he walked in and was like like, do you guys need help? Like, should we like bail on this? Like, he knew exactly what was going on immediately.
If you need help, there's like some sign that's going around. I'm sorry, we can promote that. There's some kind of hand sign.
It's just one of those things where, like,
Oh, God.
even for like us putting together a South by So Wasted or like anything like that. That was the other thing, is that like there was enough shit that it looked like half of a professional production. Like there was a stage.
Yep.
There were speakers.
Yep.
But they were totally undressed. There was no like control area. Like it looked so weird. It just looked like it would have been better if you had kept it more bare and just kind of went to Party City and threw up some Party City shit, threw a bunch of balloons up there. It would have looked fine. It would have looked like a party instead of
there was
But everything
a
definitely a
concert
moment
where the roadies got high and stopped building.
There was definitely a moment I explained to the teenage son of this grifter, like, just give me a microphone input and a microphone I can rely on and plug in this computer. That's all I need. I can at least get us most of the way there. Yes, will do, boss. Shuffle. Like, and I got the impression that the kid, it was more embarrassing to let everything fuck up around him to the kid. You know, the kid didn't want the embarrassment of like on top of everything for the show to not work.
Yeah.
And but that's the grift matched with that incompetence was next level.
It's fun talking about it now, though. I do like. I mean, like it's such a bizarre. I mean, the fact that the '69 boys showed up, like, was just like that. That's where it went through the eye of reality and came out in this, like, all right, professional disappointment, personal disappointment. I feel like an idiot that we got roped into this. The '69 boys are here. I think there's a fight. Like, there's like, and Brian's right. Two like 19-year-old girls, one's crying, the other is like on a warpath because she could smell the fucking scam, and she's like, motherfucker, you don't fucking pin this on us, you son of a bitch, you stole the fucking money, like I'm gonna fucking kill you, my boyfriend's gonna come and he's gonna fucking beat your ass. Like, it
that
was
might have
just
been me.
I mean, like,
It was probably really good. I wasn't there because
let me just say, when you're raised in Florida, you've seen enough shits just popped off shit shows where like that lady is screaming. Like, it was full on. And then all the German tourists are confused. Like, we had just counted down to the new year. Like, it was fucking so bizarre.
It's funny how so when I in the early days was setting up for a show. So magic is one of those weird things where by the time the show begins, that's it. Whatever you've set up properly is what you get to do. If you didn't set it up properly, you don't get to do it, or it ends not in the way that you were hoping for, right? So there comes those times where you forgot to set up a thing, and then you have to suffer the embarrassment of a trick going totally wrong or whatever. And at that moment, you internalize the shame and embarrassment of how poorly that went, and you never make that mistake again. It becomes baked into your intuition, where it's like you just know to constantly be thinking like, oh, did I set up the thing on the thing, right? So that dude from beginning to end smelled so scammy that we were talking about it before the gig. We're like, man, this all smells real scammy, doesn't it? Yes, it does, Brian. Well, this will be an interesting experience. And then coming out the other side of it, like, there are little things that just instantly set me off now. There was somebody, I don't even know what that dude was selling, but there was a knock at the door here at HQ. Dude in a very official looking polo with some corporate logo on there. I opened the door and he said, hey, how's it going? I'm so-and-so from blah, blah, blah. And as he says blah, 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 he tugs on the logo of blah, 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 as if to confirm that, nope, that's
blah,
definitely
blah.
me, the guy from blah, blah, blah. And instantly I'm just like, this man is a scam artist and he needs to go away. Next words out of his mouth, what do you guys do here? And it's just like, step one, chase you away. It's so bizarre how you build that spidey sense.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When you just know, like, all right, whatever you're selling, we don't want any. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Keep it moving,
okay.
mister.
Let's end on a positive note. What's something we can all be happy about?
I'm really happy that I never got a spider.
Tattoo?
Tattoo on
A
me.
spider web
Yeah.
tattoo?
That's good.
Is that a prison thing?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Oh, well then I'm really, really glad.
Yeah, I think it's some kind
Yeah.
of like marking time thing, but maybe people do it to affect a prison like mystique around them.
Look like a tough guy, huh?
Yeah. I mean, geez. I'll tell you, all in all, it's like beyond the money, we've certainly milked that fucking story for all it's worth.
Yeah,
so,
we got our money's out of it. Probably.
like, look, we just killed a fucking hour of content telling a story that never fails. So, you know,
Tell it again. Get it again.
on-
one day
on
that
some
teenager
level-
is going to be a lawyer and he's going to be like, all right, look, can I buy the story rights to this story so you just never tell it again? I'll give you, what were you supposed to make from the gig? And we're like, 5 times that.
You're right.
Yeah.
You guys, we really need to come up with some kind of killer ending for the story so we can sell it as a movie.
Okay, what is it?
I don't know, like
I mean, the problem
you guys
is
have
like,
to wind up in the Kia somehow.
but
like,
no, I mean, the
fuckers, I don't
problem
even
is
know,
any
like-
version of an ending, gotcha ending involves effort from us. And it's like, that's the only way to put us deeper in debt is to put any effort forward.
I don't know. Maybe that can be, God bless you guys in chat room. You probably have heard this story enough times that they could probably write it for you. That's our next Diamond Club.
And we'll just trust them because we've learned nothing.
Hey, the Diamond Club book is a thing.
It's a hit. It's a hit, folks.
All right.
Yeah, what's positive on your side there, Mr. Justin?
What's positive is that we get to spend every afternoon with each other here on the happy hour.
Goddamn
That's
right.
what's positive.
It is nice.
It is nice.
Love you guys.
I love y'all. Bye.
See ya!